Well, a warm welcome to you on this episode of ISV Talks. And on this episode, we have Pam Misialek, who is the Community Director at Dynamics Communities. And Pam and I chat about the Community Summit coming up here in October 2022 in Orlando, Florida. So welcome to this episode of ISV Talks. And on this episode, I have a special guest from Dynamics Communities, Pam Misialek, who's the Community Director. And Pam is joining me today to talk about the Community Summit coming up here in October in Orlando. I'm so excited. You've probably seen me posting about it on my LinkedIn. So Pam, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Just go ahead and introduce yourself briefly and tell us about how you ended up at Dynamics Communities and what's your role there.
Hello, everybody. My name is Pam Misialek. I have been in this community for a very long time. I worked at Microsoft for 22 years, worked for a partner / cloud provider / ISV for a little under 4, and now I'm at Dynamic Communities. One of the reasons I wanted to join is because I've always had a passion for the community and the users, by users, for users theme, and I wanted to be part of it and to reinvent it and rebuild it and really help people and help users get everything they should get out of their implementations of Dynamics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely can tell that's your passion, and I'm really excited that you're in this role and helping kind of get it energized again. So let's talk about the summit. So Summit North America 2022, kind of the first event in about 2 years, right, for in-person. And
so Summit's back. We're definitely trending with attendees, and things are coming back with sponsors and partners and all of that. So it definitely has a feel of the way it was back in like 2019 before this whole pandemic thing happened. And so it has a lot of the same elements, but I think the biggest thing is that tone and that feeling, and the reasons why people go to Summit is back this year. So it's super exciting, and I'm just thrilled about it, because when you look at all the sessions we have and the fantastic speakers and the people volunteering their time to educate and to share their knowledge and all of that, I mean, it's a pretty impressive lineup of what we got going on this year. So Summit is the largest independent gathering of the Dynamics ecosystem. So it's the largest event in the world, with all of the Dynamics users coming together. And what I think makes Summit different or unique is that it's independent. So it's not a Microsoft event. It doesn't have the Microsoft agenda, but because it's really evolved around helping users reduce the complexities of their business. So people that are coming, I mean, they're not messing around. People are coming with multiple people from their organization. And yeah, I mean, it's bananas. It's crazy. It's a lot. The average is a lot higher than prior to the pandemic. Of the number of people coming from the same organization is much, much higher. And I think it's because, they have some serious problems that they're trying to deal with. And they've tried to deal with these through the pandemic and trying to do it virtually and doing all that, where now they're like, I'm just going to go to the largest independent gathering where everyone's at, so I can do it all at one time. And so I don't have to sit and go through webinars for months, but I can find the partners, I can find the ISVs, I can find other users like me and get advice, and I can go to the medic desk and get all the questions I have answered. It's really about reducing complexities in the business so you can drive business results, because it's really hard to do. You can get a lot of content of what is available and what products can do. The trickier thing is how to implement that in your business, what you should tackle, in which ways to really make a difference in your business, so your technology is actually working for you instead of you working for that technology.
Is there a theme for this year's event?
Yeah, so the theme is reduce complexities to drive results. is the theme for Summit. So when we think about the content and the educational sessions, as well as the expo floor, we kind of group it all into 4 buckets. And so if you're considering a Dynamics product, so maybe let's say you're using Business Central, but you're considering Power Platform, there's content for you there. If you're new, whether it's personally or the company that you work for is new to said product, we have a whole streamlined content for you that focuses on people that are new. We also have a big theme. Another big theme is cloud migration. A lot of people are on older versions of various products, so they're making that big leap to the cloud. And so we have a whole track by product for them as well. And then the last bucket we have is optimizing. So you're optimizing your current solution, which is what Summit traditionally has been for many, many years, is really about that optimization piece. But I think adding these other elements, really helps you think about reducing the complexity in your business. They align along those buckets, because then that's why users can come and they can bring people that are new. Be like, I don't know F&O. I just got hired last week. You can send them to Summit and they can learn the basics and get started quickly. Because we also have Academy educational training as well, pre and post.
How many sessions are there? Because you kind of need those tracks to be able to streamline your sessions you're going to attend. So how many sessions are there? How many speakers?
There, a ton. There's a lot. So we have over, I think, 550 sessions.
Wow.
So, I know. So pro tip, it's super overwhelming. But when you go out to the website, you can see all of them. But you can actually do an advanced search, and you can search by product, but you can also search by like new and optimizing and migrating as well. And then we also have some subcategories. So if you're into manufacturing or into finance, depending on your role, you can filter that down, because with 550 sessions, there's a lot of going on.
A lot.
And then so with that, what is also unique about this is for those 500 and, it's over 550, but we also have over 300 speakers that are providing this educational content. So then now you get to kind of get their point of view and their experience. And so you have that where it's not just, one presenter presenting a bunch of content, it's people presenting. So a lot of the content you'll notice, like, we'll have 2 different sessions and they may look similar, but I think it's the speakers and their education and background that makes the difference.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that work, as consultants in the industry that are speakers, but there's also a lot of users. I love it when users can come and share what they've learned and how they've used the products and how it's enhanced their system.
And we're always looking for more users to get involved. I know some users find it a little intimidating because they're like, all I know is how we do it. I don't know how everyone else does it, but how they do it is super important, because users love to talk to other users, because it's such a unique environment, because they can talk to someone in the same industry, the same role, but isn't a competitor. And so they can feel open to share their vulnerabilities or share their challenges or their successes, in a kind of a safe environment, because it's like this independent group. So I've seen it for years. It's one of the reasons I came into and have such a passion for this community is I've seen it so many times where you'll get like a user, they'll just like sitting in the hallway, or they'll just, they're sitting on a bench somewhere, and you'll hear what they're talking about, and like the ideas they come up with just them collaborating with each other and saying, hey, I have this problem. They're like, oh yeah, we had that problem too. Here's how we fixed it.
And I've been in sessions too, where even users will ask, hey, does anybody have this issue? They'll just raise their hand. It's like, just to see if there's anybody in the room that might have the same, challenges. And so that definitely.
This is so important that it's like an in-person event. Because I've been asked multiple times, are we going to go hybrid? And all that, and I'm like, the magic of Summit is that in-person thing, and that person in the room just saying, hey, does anyone have this problem? Am I just odd?
I'm the only one.
I know, right? Am I the only one? And everyone's like, no, you're not the only one, because that's usually what happens. Everyone's like, nope, we're with you. And that dynamic just can't be replaced virtually.
What other opportunities are there for people to find help? I mean, they can obviously go to the sessions and listen to speakers and ask questions, but what other opportunities can they kind of get interactive help real time? You know, like you said, these are serious issues that people have. So where else can they get help?
Right. So there's several places. One is the medic desk. Another pro tip is you can bring all of your break fix support that you would pay, $200 an hour or whatever, and you can bring it to Summit and get free support. So there's a lot of customers who they just bring a list, and that's how they pay their way, because they're like, hey, if we're going to enter all these tickets in, it's going to cost us X dollars. I'll get this all for free. So it's a great place to be able to do that. But more importantly, it's also a place to bounce ideas off of. So if you're in a session and you're kind of noodling on a plan, and you're like, oh, I think I could probably bring this back to help reduce complexity in our company, you can go ask the medics and they'll be able to give you some advice. And if they don't know, they know who knows, and they can introduce you to the right people. So that would be one. Of course, it's a must-go place. And if at any time, if you're not, let's say there's a time block and you don't want to go to a session, or there's not a session you're interested in at that time, I would just go hang out in the hub, which is where the medic desk is, because that's where you're just going to find other people to be able to just connect with. The other place I think is going to be super popular is the Ask Me Anything community garden. Microsoft will be at that space as well. So that'd be Ask Microsoft anything you want to ask Microsoft. Well, we're also inviting MVPs to kind of hang out there. So when they're not busy, it's kind of the place to be. And it's in the expo. So whenever the expo hours are open, that place will be open. It kind of starts off with the welcome reception. So very first night, Monday evening, I'm super excited about it. It's different. It's new. It's in this outdoor area, and it's meant to be, for some people, it'll feel like a reunion because they haven't seen each other in forever. But for the 60% of people who are new to Summit and have never been to Summit, this is going to be at the place where they can start off this event right. And they can meet the people and build these connections, because that's what makes Summit so successful, is people, it becomes a family. And so we wanted to invite these 60% that have never been to Summit into our family. And that's what's going to happen at the welcome reception. For those of you who've been around for a long time, you should at minimum, meet 5 new people at the welcome reception. But not just meet like, hi, thank you, but meet as a no, and get to know some, and make some new connections, since we have so many new people. So with the welcome reception, what I think is great about it, we'll have different, like, we're going to have a margarita bar, and we'll have a martini bar, and, and we'll have some games and things like that to make it fun and casual. We'll have a charity, We Stand With Ukraine is our charity this year. So we will have some charity type stuff for donations at the welcome reception. But I think what's strategically important at this event is for the new people to meet others and be able, so then they feel comfortable. So then when they see them throughout the event, they know who to ask questions to. So then they find out, and not just, I know that person or I met them. It's more of they know X, Y, and Z. Start the conference right. So then at the end of the conference, they get all their check boxes listed off. I got to connect with people. I built some relationships, but I also found a list of things that I'm going to go do when I get back home, that are meaningful, whether it's their personal leveling up their skill set and, getting their personal career and skills, to the next level, or whether it's bringing things back to their organization of things that they can do differently to, really reduce the complexity in their business so they can drive business results.
Well, and your boss and your company is investing in you, right? Not only you personally in your career and your skill sets, but they want you to bring back something, right?
And that's where, like, a company spends a lot of money investing into a person to send them to Summit. The flights and the hotels and the conference fees, even though our conference fees are back to like 2018 type pricing, it's a big investment, and they want to get a ROI off of it. And so I think all users should be thinking about that is, how do I, pay that back in return? How do I bring some new, fresh ideas back of how you can use software differently or things you can add. Always kind of the same. Everyone's there to learn. That's their number one thing. They're there to learn. They're also there because their company needs them. Like they have some serious problems that they need to figure out.
Right.
On Tuesday and Wednesday, we also have the expo is open. So we're basically having a party every night because we're going to have 2 expo receptions. So Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, there's plenty of times to, have a cocktail or two, because most of the people are there with an agenda, with a list. I think ISVs are extremely important because that's how our ISV community got built, is at some time they were a user themselves and they saw the problems and they're like, wait, here's a gap, I'm going to create a solution to this. And then it ends up being an ISV product. And that's what these people specialize in, is adding on things that make people's lives easier. So I think it's extremely important for users to go to the expo. And that's the other thing. What we're doing is, when you go to the website, you can search in the expo floor, because we do have, several hundred expo sponsors. So it's, again, like our sessions, we have all these sessions, we have all these sponsors. How do you make sure you get to the right people? So you'll be able to go to the website, you can search on industry, you can search by product. So then users can make a list of, here's my must-go ISVs that I need to go talk to see how they can help me.
Okay. That's a great idea. And I always valued being able to walk the expo hall, to meet, who are they? There might be some out there you haven't even met yet, some add-ons that might actually.
Yeah, and there are, because we have several sponsors this year that have never sponsored Summit before. And so some of them were like, they were born like with maybe Sage or Intact or a non-Dynamics product, and they're moving into the Dynamics space. Others just hadn't made the investment before. But yeah, it's exciting. So you definitely need to check it out, because it's not the same old sponsors that have always been there. It's new. And at the expo, on the carpet, there will be carpet tiles with the products. So then it'll make it really easy for them to find.
That's helpful. So yeah, so Expo Hall, Medic Desk, Ask Me Anything Garden, those are good places to go and get help. I know we've talked about kind of some of the sessions and education, but is there also going to be some keynote speakers and events happening throughout the conference?
Yes. So on Wednesday, we have Ryan Holiday coming. Ryan Holiday is, a best-selling New York Times top author. He's going to be talking about complexity and reducing complexity, which is our theme. You get a little inspiration about something you can take back with you.
I think that's what people need, is being able to kind of have a strategy, right? Kind of a plan, right? Like, how are we going to get from point A to point B?
If ERP was easy, then we wouldn't even need Summit. It is complex and it can get overwhelming. And having someone like Ryan just be able to talk about it in a certain level might give people just an idea of how to even think about it and how to break this down into smaller pieces. What we also are going to have is, we have general sessions per product, for F&O and GP and CE and Business Central. So we're going to have MVPs and some popular people in the community that'll be on stage, and some of it will be, this is my favorite feature, but it's rather than saying what it is, it's more like, why is it important? Because I think that's the trick, is not what a product does, is like how you can leverage it and how you can use it, and how you can integrate that into your business to really make a difference.
Seeing people come to the conference, you mentioned that like there's a real desire to get back and bring more people to the I see a lot of people taking the agenda, like, you go to this session, I'll go to this one, and then everybody kind of gets back together and shares what they learned, and then take that back when they go home. So
right, exactly. And when I've been looking at the people registered, and you look at a company that, because I think the average is probably about 5 people from the same organization coming. There's some that are higher than that, but where the usual average is 2 to 3, so it's a little higher. But when you look at the roles, you'll have like a finance person, an IT type person, a business analyst type person as well. So you could tell that they're going to divide and conquer. They're going to go to their all things.
That's smart
And
though,
so,
right? You can kind of do your map out your agenda online at summitna.com, because that way everybody kind of has a plan, right? You're going to go to these sessions and I'm going to go to these for sure. Yeah. Divide and
yeah,
conquer. That is really, really smart.
and to make it strategic with the time that you have there. And especially now that the world is kind of remote, I've talked to multiple users that are taking this into more of like even a team building type exercise, like, hey, we never get together. So then they're strategically making time to do business planning, to get together as a team. So it's kind of more, we're divide and conquering, but rather than waiting till we get back to the office, we're going to regroup while we're at Summit. And so that, I mean, that would be where there's going to be lots of places around the venue that, you know, are sit down places that you can have these conversations and you can kind of meet and all that. So then, because it's kind of, I mean, really about, they're not messing around. So they want to get to solutions as quickly as possible. And that's the way to do it is, you know, divide and conquer, get together before you get back to the office and chaos comes back. Like, they're back. Okay, here's all the stuff you need to do.
Right.
You know, where they can do it while they're still in that bubble of a conference to really make some important plans and make a strategic initiative as a group from what they learned.
That's really good advice, Pam. Actually, I appreciate that. Pretty much we've kind of gone through all our questions, but you know, kind of one final question I have for you is, you know, what do you think is kind of the one main reason that people are going to attend this year's summit?
Yeah, I think the one main reason why people are attending Summit this year is learning. Yeah, I think they all have been trying to learn throughout the pandemic and have realized it's just not the same. I think there's a couple trends, but it all revolves around learning. But I think a few of the trends I've seen, one is people are trying to hire and they can't find people. So then now they're hiring people with no experience because they have to. So they'll be that, like, I'm new to learning. So there's some of that. And then there's the other side of learning is a lot of businesses have been impacted by this pandemic. And so, you know, where they might have had 5 people and now they have 3 and they can't afford to hire more people. Where I think in the past, you know, back in 2019 or prior, if a user had a clunky process, they just hired more people and they threw humans at the problem. Where now a lot of companies aren't in that position to have that extra cost. So they're looking at how do I learn more about the system so I can use it better, because I can't hire people and I have to do the same amount of work that I had 5 people that now I have 3. So they're trying to learn. So I think their learning is just different. So they're thinking about, well, I already know how to, let's say, print checks or do EFTs. I already know how to do that. How can I do that better so I don't need as many people resources because I'm not positioned to do that anymore? So it's kind of pushed people in a different way. So I think they're kind of new learning. They're trying to optimize learning. And then I think the other part is there's a lot of people coming for their professional growth. And some of it's kind of the big resignation, or it's just kind of how people's perception has changed, where they're like, you know, they want to personally learn and they want to take their skill set to the next level. And so they're there to really become an expert and figure out what do they want to do in their career and what makes them happy and what new technology do they want to personally learn and, you know, future-proof their skill set and build for the future. But anyway, in summary, it is really all about learning, which is, it's the foundation of why Summit was created to begin with, is to learn more and collaborate and figure out better ways of doing business, better ways of, you know, using technology.
Great. Yeah, definitely come to Orlando to learn, but also become part of the community, become part of the conversation, because we need you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's those connections I think are so important, because I mean, of course, everyone's coming to learn and they want to, you know, learn about the new technology or learn how to do their jobs better. But it's a lot funner to learn when you have somebody with you. If you know you're not alone and you're not the only person with that struggle, and you find people that are going through that same journey you are, it's just a lot happier place, and it makes your life a lot more fulfilling to be part of a group. You're part of this bigger community, and you get this feeling that it's kind of part of who you are. And once you have that, it never goes away. And it's unique, and it's something that you don't get anywhere in any other community. It's
it's a feeling of belonging, right? Belonging to a community, and a community that cares, about each other and helps each other. And it's amazing how people are so generous with their time and their knowledge. And so come and learn and belong. We need you guys.
Totally.
If you are able to join Dynamics Community Summit, you can go to summitna.com. Look at the agenda. There are a lot of different options. There's a virtual pass, there are day passes. And if you want to just follow, if you're not able to be there, follow or post while you're there on your social media, the hashtag MySummitNA. Definitely would love to see people's pictures and what they're learning and conversations there. Pam, this is also an email. Is this something that people can reach out to you through, or?
Yeah. So the summitna@dynamiccommunities.com is probably the best way, because then instead of it coming just to me, it comes to the whole team at Dynamic Communities, so we can help you with any questions that you would have.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you, Pam, for joining today and sharing a little bit about what's going to be happening. And I'm really super excited to be there. I'm going to have a couple sessions that I'll be speaking at, so I hope you can find me, and hopefully we meet in the hall and gonna introduce ourselves to each other. So, all right, thank you so much, Pam. I appreciate it.
Yep, thanks, Carol. Have a good day, and thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right, bye-bye.